Hey guys, welcome to another Cigar Chat brought to you live on CigarFederation.com, broadcasts around the world on the Armed Forces Radio Network. Thank you for tuning in and hanging out with us today. Robbie Raz here with you as always from Cigar Federation. Flying solo today, no Logan, which is kind of a blessing and a curse for me. I don't have to deal with him as a blessing, but the curse is, he usually takes care of the time and the giveaways and all that noise. So now I have to do everything. One-man show. But that's all right. We got a ton of questions, so we're going to jump right in. We've got Sean Williams from El Premier Mundo Cigars joining us. Sean, thanks for taking the time, man.
Thanks for having me. Always good.
Yeah, we're happy to have you back. It's been too long. I think it's been almost 2 years since we've had you on the show.
Yeah, time flies, man.
Yeah, it really does. And it's funny. When we had you on the show last time, I was solo as well, because Logan was on a work trip to India, and that's where he is again. So funny how time flies, but sometimes things don't really change. So catch us up a little bit. What's been going on with Premier Mundo over the last few years?
Well, as most guys know, at least guys who are familiar with me and my brand, for about a year and a half, I was on a distribution arrangement with PDR Cigars and my good friend Abe Flores, and that was a good experience. I mean, a lot of positives from it. Certainly nothing is perfect, but overall it was a good experience. And as things stands now, I'm still making a number of cigars at the PDR factory with Abe. We're still really good friends, and just looking forward to a very exciting and very, very busy 2015. It's like I haven't had time to breathe in the last month. Took some time off, as most people do over the holidays, but as soon as the new year kicked off, it's been sort of breakneck speed. So I'm excited.
Well, that's good, man. I'm glad to hear it. Yeah, there's a lot of questions about stuff that's coming up in 2015. We'll get into that. So, I've never really asked this, and we talk about working with distributors and things like that. From a manufacturer's standpoint, what do you look for in what criteria, I guess, or how do you go about choosing someone that's going to help you distribute your cigars? I mean, what are some of the pros and cons of the different companies, I guess, without getting too specific?
Well, as far as distribution or actually manufacturing cigars, those are two different animals. So,
well, yeah, I'm just talking about distribution.
Well, early on, I've been in this business now 9 years. Coming up, January of 2016 will be literally 10 years from the time that I took my first trip down to Nicaragua to work on my first blends at the Placencia factory. And I mean, I've gone through different iterations of what my distribution model looks like over that time frame. From just starting out, me literally going door to door on my own for a few days, and then coming back to the basement of my house, packing boxes, shipping them out. At one point, I actually had a distribution arrangement with Los Blancos Cigar, and did that for about a year, and opened up more points of sale. Certainly got more presence on the shelves there. But that just wasn't the deal for me at the time. So I went off on my own and had some good success there. I mean, it gets tricky though, man. I mean, there's not a lot of honestly really good independent brokers. Most of the guys looking at this show right now, they'll see cigar reps come in and out of their local cigar shops, and some of the guys work in-house for some of the companies that you're familiar with, the Rocky Patels, the Davidoffs, the Drew Estates. But I would say the majority, but certainly a large portion of the cigar broker community is just that, independent broker. So they'll carry El Primer Mundo, and they'll carry 6 or 7 or either 8 or 10 other lines. Sure. So it's always tricky, finding the right boots on the ground, so to speak, so that your brand gets its proper share of voice out of the bag. So with that, I mean, if you're looking at a distribution deal, I guess in particular, my rationale for the distribution deal with PDR was, Abe and I, did a cigar together, La Hermandad, which has been a very successful cigar for me. I launched it 2013 at the show in Orlando, and I did very well. So that sort of led to us working together in that capacity. But as we looked around, we actually shared a lot of the same independent brokers. I think at the time I had maybe 8 independent brokers or 7 or 8 independent brokers, and 4 of my guys were also independent brokers for PDR. So the rationale was, hey, since we're doing cigars together, we're sharing some of the same sales force. Certainly, PDR was a more established and more structured company than I was at the time. So it made sense to do that and allow Abe to do what he did in the factory. And he's been doing some great stuff, as most people can probably see from the ratings and the different write-ups. And I concentrated on doing what I do with sort of pushing the brands with the different brick and mortar. So the big thing with distribution was you want some continuity of voice, some consistency in the sales force, and also some structure and resources as it just relates to overall back end support. And for a little guy like me, I mean that's a tricky part. I mean, this business is not easy. So infrastructure is critically important. Resources are critically important, and having proper representation in the marketplace is also very important. So that's the rationale for doing any type of distribution agreement, at least from my standpoint.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, especially you started out as a one-man operation. I mean, this company, it's your baby, and to put it into someone else's hands and let them go out and represent you, that's got to be that's a tough. I can imagine that's a tough transition. Like, obviously, it's a necessary transition as you grow, but that's got to be tough, man. To make sure that you're vetting the right people and having somebody out there that's really going to represent you the way that you want to be represented.
And a lot of times you don't know until it's too late, man. I mean, I can't tell you the number of times I've had, somebody that shows a lot of promise. You talk to them and they're excited about carrying a brand in their area, and you send them, literally thousands of dollars in samples and don't get anything out of them. Which that's you take that on the chin and you sort of live with it. But then there's other issues where guy gets going a little bit. You go out, work with them, you do events, you spend a lot of time and money in the territory, opening up accounts, and you can't be there. Once you're there and you've been there and you've met the retailers face to face, you've done events, you've shaken the hands of the customers that were good enough to come out and experience your brand. After that, I mean, it has to be a constant, a constant sort of tweaking, reminding the retailers of what's new and keeping them abreast of whatever things you got going on, and it's tough for one person to do that. So you hope that once you leave, that at some point the broker works your brand back into his normal sales cycle. But a lot of times they'll have again 6, 7, 8 other brands, and they have other manufacturers traveling with them. There's other promotional things going on, so you just don't get your what you think is your share of voice. So man, it's tough, but you learn over time, and at some point you realize that maybe, hey, some markets I don't need a rep, maybe some markets I don't even open up right now. I mean, when I first started off, I mean, if there was an opportunity to open up a shop somewhere, I mean, I was driving, I was on a plane, I was going, but you burn through a lot of capital that way, and you burn through a lot of energy, and it wears you out. So over 9 years, I've learned to be a little bit smarter and not try to take, the big hill at one time, and just, pick my spots, pick what areas to play in, and the right shops to deal with, and hopefully, build on it from there.
Okay. Yeah. No, that's we're starting out. Normally, we start the show, we talk about the different blends and everything. We kind of jumped right into some of the behind the scenes stuff. But
let's get to it, man. Let's get to it.
Well, that's interesting to me. I don't know if the audience is interested. They did ask some questions about it. And since we're kind of on that same topic, this is a question from D.A. Gale. He says, what factors into your decisions on which factory do you choose to produce your cigars? Because you've got some stuff coming out of a couple of different places.
Yeah. So for me, I'm really fortunate now, man. I mean, I'm in a place where I can make cigars just about any factory that I want to. I mean, I have some great relationships. I've had, I've been blessed to work with some very good people. Early on, it was more of just sort of finding something as simple as the right product at the right price. Who can make the cigar that I want at the right price. As I moved along in the business and I gained more relationships and became friends with a lot of different manufacturers. I mean, I'm at a point now, certainly where, I respect what someone does as far as, what they're able to do in making a cigar. Obviously, that's important. But also, hey, this is somebody that I respect, I like, we're friends. Let's have fun doing something together and trying to do something different. So, you have the basic nuts and bolts of, okay, does this person have the right raw material? Do they invest in the raw material so that they can keep your product consistent over the long term? And do they, do they put in quality work? Then aside from that, hey, do I like this person? Is it somebody that, that I like to spend time with? Somebody that I want to, grow with down the line as far as possibly doing other projects, and that factors into my decision a lot more now than anything else. I need a lot less handholding now. When I first started off, I mean, I didn't know. I thought I knew about cigars, but I had no idea. And I'm not sure I know a lot about it now, but I know what I like, and there's certain things that I like to have as a part of, the makeup of my cigar. So the process is a lot easier now. But at this point, there's just friends I like to work with, and sorry,
No, you're fine. It's part of the show. You gotta stay lit.
yeah. So fundamentally, you want somebody that puts out good product, someone that really invests in the raw materials, again, to make sure that your product stays consistent when you land on whatever blend you want to put out, and somebody that you really would enjoy working with, because it's a partnership. Whether it's not just you write somebody a check and they send you cigars in the mail. I mean, you go down and they have to sort of understand where you're coming from, what you want to create, um, and sort of offer their input and figure out what would be a good product to come as a result of that collaboration. So that's how it sort of works for me.
Okay. Yeah, and that covered we covered a few different questions. Well, let's stick on that same topic here. And this one's from Isaac Miller. It says, what are some of the difficulties and maybe benefits of having your blends made in different locations? You've got some made in Miami, some in PDR. Is there a benefit to being in a couple of different places, or are there difficulties that you face from doing that?
Well, there's pros and cons to each, right? So
Mhm.
so obviously to me the positive side is you don't have all your eggs in one basket. I mean, I don't own a factory, and honestly, I don't know if I have any inclination to ever own a factory, because I know what it takes to keep a factory operating, man. And you're talking about you know all kinds of things that's out of your control that happen, in Central America or the Caribbean. So you know that's not where my interest lies. So for me, it's sort of a good thing to have cigars made in different factories for a number of reasons. I mean, if something happens, I mean, I remember for the show in New Orleans in 2010, maybe, it was literally 3 or 4 days before the show, and I had boxes that couldn't get out of Honduras because the president decided he didn't want to leave office, and there was some political strife, so they couldn't get my boxes from Downey, Honduras into Esteli, Nicaragua for my boxes. So but those are the things you deal with. So if you got stuff made in different factories and in particular in different countries, then at least you have sort of a fail safe if something is happening with a certain line of products. At least you got something else that's coming out, or something you can deal with. And also, I like working with different people because I like to learn. Everybody, I mean, it's amazing. I've had a chance to work with the Placencias, of course, Willie Herrera and Titan Legrand's, A with PDR, and I've been in enough uh, blending sessions, so to speak, with people in different factories to see that everybody's different the way they approach it. So you learn something every time, and also I think you get to a point where your stuff is not just all the same. I mean, there's
Mhm.
a lot of things you can say about my cigars. I'm there's 350 million people in America. I don't assume that everybody's going to like my cigar. Not everybody likes steak, not everybody likes chicken, not everybody likes fish. But one thing you certainly can't say about my cigars is that they all taste the same. And I think in working with different people, I get different perspectives. Certain people work better with different materials. I mean, Abe uses more Brazilian sourced raw materials than most people. I mean, from the Bahia wrapper that we're smoking now on the Costa Forte, the Arapiraca wrapper on La Hermandad. He has some Matafina. He uses the Cuba wrapper on his small batch series. So he has a lot of stuff that he does out of Brazil, more so than anybody else I've worked with. conversely, in working with the Placenses, of course, they're really, really steeped in a lot of Nicaraguan tobaccos, from Ometepe to Alapa to Esteli. So, you get a different feel there. The first time I worked with any Ecuadorian wrapper is when I worked with Willie Herrera doing Liga Miami and Epiphania. I had never worked with Ecuadorian wrapper. So that was my first experience in doing that. So you learn stuff from different people. And I think, at least I hope it makes me a better cigar maker. I don't have, sort of this one-track palette or tunnel vision. I'm always interested to try new things and learn new things, and that's what you get working with different people. Now, also working with different people, you still got to deal with different personalities.
Sure.
And everybody has, some degree of an ego or sort of maybe strong-willed and sort of their way of thinking, and if it's coming out of their factory, it should be this way or that way. So you deal with a lot of things of that nature, and also it gets to be a little competitive at times. I mean, if people know you're working with other people, they want their cigars to be the best cigars. So that gets to be tricky. But again, I mean, the people I work with, I really, really consider them friends. I mean, some closer than others, but we all talk on a pretty consistent basis. I respect and support what they do, and they respect and support what I do. So it works out. So I think the pros far, far, far outweigh the cons.
Well, that's you made a lot of interesting points in there. I can imagine that it turns into a bit, like you alluded to, a bit of a juggling match, because you are going to have some different personalities, different things you have to deal with.
Yeah.
That's all. That's all understandable. You did talk about your blends, so that kind of leads into another question here. This one's from Donald. Donald, I always mess up your last name, so I'm just going to call you Donald. Cazaro. I think that's how you say it. I usually screw it up. I'm really bad. I can't remember anybody's name, and I have a horrible time reading names. I don't know what it is. I don't know. I guess I just don't focus. I actually just had to go get my prescription redone, so I got some new ones coming, but maybe that's it. He says, so you talked about all your cigars are all very different, and the ones that I have tried, I haven't tried the whole line, but everything I've tried has been very different. He says, do you blend with a taste profile in mind, or do you blend, or do you put some stuff together and see what happens? And I'll put a second part of that question is, do you blend for stuff that you like, or do you look at your portfolio and say, I don't have anything on the mild side, I want to blend something mild?
I'm terrible at that, actually. Everything that I blend is something that I like. I'm not a mild smoker. I don't have a mild, nothing I consider a mild cigar. It's like, so I say I want to put out a mild cigar. Who am I going to compete with? That market, everybody tells me that most of the cigar smokers are mild. Maybe that's true. I haven't met them though. So, maybe water seeks its own level. So maybe the guys I run into are, medium plus smokers. I mean, I guess my blue label is sort of mild medium, but it's certainly not your garden variety Connecticut by any stretch. So I don't know. I'm trying to do better at that. I'm trying to stretch out a little bit. But what helps me with that is not working with the same material, just working with different stuff. So that gives me some variety and hopefully some bigger spectrum on as far as strength. But no, so I don't just sort of toss stuff together and see how it comes out. I'm a weirdo, and I don't know if I guess the people close to me know. When I think about a cigar, I actually come up with the name of a cigar before I even start down the road of what the cigar is going to be. As far as, and I got in my phone now and on my computer. I got I'm glad I don't have like a ton of money, because I would have all these different trademarks. I come up with names of cigars first, then I sort of think of a concept like should this cigar be, blah blah blah, and I work backwards from that way. So I guess to answer the question, no, I don't just sort of put stuff together and see. I have an idea of what I want, because I've already sort of thought of the name of the cigar, how I want the cigar to feel, what I want to experience from the cigar, and then the components sort of match up with that kooky idea I have of what that should be. So as weird as that is, that's how I do it.
Well, that's interesting. I've never heard.
I don't know.
We tend to.
I got probably a dozen names right now. And I'll even trademark. If it's something I really like, I'll trademark it, And I got a couple of things trademarked that I've had trademarked for a couple of years and have never done anything with. So, but that's what I do.
That's like me with domain names for websites that I've always thought, well, you know what, I'll do a website based on this, and I've owned them for 10 years, and
Hey, man.
they always tell me, you still want this, you've never used it. Well, yeah, maybe I'll use it someday. Who knows?
Yeah, there you go.
So okay, I want to keep going down some of these questions. Although you did touch on something where it's the bulk of smokers are supposedly mild smokers. We had a guest on a few weeks ago who said that 60% of all cigar smokers are mild cigar smokers, and we had kind of a lively discussion about that. But I think, like you said, and I like the way that you put it, that water finds its own level. I mean, I deal with, on a regular basis, I'm dealing with the guys who come on Cigar Federation, and we're maybe not the average cigar smoker who's going to a lounge. I mean, there's still those guys who are, they've been smoking for 20 years, and they smoke their Macanudos, and every week they come in, they buy, or every 2 weeks they come in, they buy a box, and they stick with that. So maybe that's...
So I put out a mild cigar because I'm going to knock off the Macanudo smoker. Bro, it's not happening, man. It's not happening.
No, I hear you. It's interesting to think about it from that standpoint, though. I mean, is a mild cigar, I don't know. There's a place for it. There's a place for all that stuff.
There's absolutely a place for it. And there's nothing, there's no reason to down talk that. I mean, now to me, when I say mild, I mean, I'm not necessarily talking about...
Relative term, yeah.
It's a relative term. And a lot of people conflate strength with body. And those are two different things. So I'd like to think that, my cigars aren't exceptionally strong as far as, big doses of nicotine. I go more for full body than full strength. Two different things, though. So.
Yeah, that's one of the lessons that I think most cigar smokers have the hardest time learning, is separating those two things. The strength of the cigar next to... I mean, a lot of people equate a cigar that's got a lot of pepper and a lot of spice, they call it strong. I mean, strong flavored, sure, but that doesn't necessarily have anything to do with the nicotine content.
Absolutely.
I'm smoking the Hermandad Costa Fuerte.
Yes.
And we're giving away a bunch of those tonight, so you guys all get to try it. This is the first time I've smoked it, and I don't know why. In my head, I had... And it must be just, it's got Fuerte on there. I just assumed it was going to be big and spicy. And it's not. It's a really smooth cigar. It's got some spice on the retro for sure.
Yeah.
And it's definitely not a mild cigar by any means. I mean, this is a nice medium cigar with full flavor. I'm really enjoying this one. This is the first time I've had this one. I've had the one with the black band, and I think that's just La Hermandad. It doesn't have a secondary thing.
Yeah.
So let's see. Let me get into more of these questions. We've got a ton of them. This one's another one from Isaac Miller. He says, I'm a big fan of La Hermandad, and I love the Epiphania? Epiphania.
Which means epiphany.
Okay, yeah, that's probably why I was pronouncing it that way. He says, I love that first thing in the morning with a cup of coffee. What cigar do you think best represents El Primer Mundo for those who haven't had a chance to try them yet?
I'd probably say Epiphania because I think, I'm not going to say it's the best of all worlds. That's kind of corny, but I mean, I think it has enough body, but also, it's right in the pocket as far as, being a creamy cigar, good round flavors. I think it's just a good balanced all-around cigar for a guy who likes to smoke heavy, for a guy that likes to smoke light. I think that sort of encompasses, just a total experience. La Hermandad, I mean, just looking at it, the cigar looks a lot more menacing than it is. So I think maybe somebody would have sort of a preconceived notion before they light it up and expect a certain experience, and it may not be that. But yeah, I think Epiphania is just a good all-around cigar. I mean, it's you got some great Nicaraguan tobacco from Malapa and Esteli. You got some Ligero de Grito from the DR, Ecuadorian wrapper. It's just a good, well-made cigar. I think right in the pocket. So if I had one cigar to get somebody to try that I make for the very first time, one cigar, that's probably the one I would hand out. Unless you told me, hey, I love Maduros or something like that, that would be different.
Yeah, the smoker's preferences notwithstanding, that's the so you're going with Epiphania. and to hear you describe it, and then to have Isaac Miller, he's a regular on Cigar Federation, so I know his profile a little bit. To say that he enjoys it in the morning with a cup of coffee, that really does kind of show me that it is going to fit in a bunch of different different circumstances. So we've got a request here. This one's from Harley Holmes, also a regular on Cigar Federation. He wants to know if you will record his outgoing voicemail message for him.
I'm not even like.
There's.
I guess the short answer is probably not, but.
No, I think there's been some talk about the dulcet tones that you bring to the microphone. So I think he would you'll represent his outgoing voicemail message pretty well for me.
That's cool. I'm a big guy, so I'm glad my voice sort of matches stature.
Yeah, we like I said, we get some in-depth question, but we also get some silly ones too. Mm-hmm. So I've got let's talk about some of the different blends. I mean, you've got if you pull up your website, which I mean, your website is really classy, by the way.
Really?
Yeah, I like it.
I did it myself. Awesome.
Did you really?
Yeah, man, I did it myself. I had and this is we're going to go off topic again, but 9 years ago when I first got into the business, I had a guy do my website, really good guy, Terry Robinson, local guy, and this was 9 years ago. This was no Facebook, no Twitter, no Instagram. MySpace was around, but just for like musicians, so you didn't have, if you wanted to get a website, it was like, $8 million. Somebody had to do it, and any update I needed, it was like, I don't know, something per hour or whatever. And then I rebuilt it a few years ago, and it was sort of the same thing. It was just cumbersome. And I just wanted something really simple, sleek, clean, easy to get in, easy to get out, and then I can update on the dime. Which, by the way, it needs to be updated. But yeah, I'm glad you like it. I did it myself, though. So.
No, I think simple, clean, and sleek is a very good description. So you did say that you need to update it on the site. I'm seeing you've got the 4 different blends. I know you still had those original core blends, and those are still available as well. So let's.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. What were you going to say?
Yeah, those are actually recently re-released, and they'll be coming out to brick and mortar shops probably towards the maybe by the show, but realistically maybe by the backside of the year. So when I did the site, though, they weren't even in production at the time, so that's why they're not there. Okay,
and that's the black label, the blue label,
and the red label.
Yeah. And the red label. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, the black label is what I smoked the last time when we had you on the show, and I really did enjoy that one too. So that's another one. And actually, I noticed that I think your cigars, those are available on Cigars International. They had a sampler on there that somebody had pointed out when we were on the site, and it was a reasonably priced sampler too. So if you guys want to check those out,
actually, it was an insane price sampler. But again, that was sort of the re-release of the cigar. I really want to blast it out there. If anybody had a chance to take advantage of those, it was like a 15-pack sampler and a 5-pack sampler. I know the 15-pack sampler is gone. There may be some 5-packs left, but there won't be many. It was just to really reintroduce the cigar, get it out there. It's not something, honestly, I made any money off of, and at that price, CI didn't make any money off of it. But
yeah, based on the price that they were listed, man. It's the kind of thing, though, if somebody wants to check out your line and get your hands on those cigars,
you take flack sometimes. Oh, you're online, you're selling out. I've been doing this for almost 10 years, and we just talked about some of the distribution challenges that a small company faces. And the reality is, I'm sure there's somebody that's watching this show right now who's never had an El Primer Mundo cigar. That's just the reality of it. I'm not in every nook and cranny of the country, and it's just tough to really get out there. So for me, doing business online is not just, I'm a capitalist, so the monetary piece is important. But more importantly than that, to me, is the marketing aspect. I mean, there's no way I can get a cigar out to as many people as some other outfits can get a cigar out to in that period of time. So, it's you got to build a brand, man. So, that's just a part of it. But again, those samplers, hopefully you took advantage of them because that was it. So we'll see. But yeah, they are available there. So,
yeah, as of earlier today, there was some 5-packs still available. So if you guys are looking to try them, that's a good place to start. Guys, you're listening to Cigar Chat, brought to you live on CigarFederation.com, broadcast around the world, the Armed Forces Radio Network. Thank you for tuning in wherever you are out there in the world today. Appreciate what you guys are doing out there, keeping us safe. We're here chatting with Sean Williams, Premier Mundo Cigars. I've got a ton of questions here that I'm just trying to scroll through. Let's see. Let's get back into some. There was a bunch that just showed up. It's kind of thrown me off, so I'm gonna have to step up my game here. So this one is. Okay, this is a good way that we can start talking about all the different blends because we haven't really talked about them yet. This is a question from Jacob. He says, Sean, for someone who hasn't tried your cigars yet, what would you tell them is a good starting point? So maybe kind of, the most mild cigar. You don't have a mild one, but like the most entry level from a strength standpoint, and then kind of break it down up towards full.
I guess that'd be the Blue Label, Connecticut shade cigar. Binder is Nicaraguan, filler is Nicaraguan, Dominican, little Peruvian. It's going to be mild medium, creamy smoke. Sort of a creamy coffee complexity to it. But it's a Connecticut with balls. It has a little weight to it, but not anything over the top. But it's probably the mildest of the cigars that I make. Then the next step up from there would be my Black Label and the Epiphania, probably from a body standpoint, are probably on par. And even the Red Label is sort of in there. The original Red Label, I used to use a Criollo Maduro, which is just a fermented Criollo wrapper. Now I'm using the San Andreas wrapper on it, and it's a tasty cigar. It's a very, very as Maduros go, a very smooth. You get a nice chocolatey profile to it. Almost a decadent chocolatey profile to it, but it's very, very, very low on the spice side. But it's more of a creamier, smooth, solid medium body Maduro. Then from there you get into the La Hermandad family, which is probably the strongest stuff, the Costa Fuerte, which we're smoking now in La Hermandad. I actually think Costa Fuerte is stronger than La Hermandad. So, so if you step up, Blue Label, Black and Epiphania, Red Label, then Costa Fuerte, La Hermandad.
Okay. Yeah, so like I said, I'm smoking the Costa Fuerte. I'm just about getting down to the band here. I'm
still smoking the old band.
Yeah, that's it's funny. Okay, you brought it up. Somebody asked a question about the bands, and I'm gonna have to find it because when I posted this photo today, a lot of people had commented on the bands. The fact this has the smaller band, the one that you had has the large foot band. What was the idea behind that, and have you kind of gone away from that larger band?
No. So initially when La Hermandad came out, it was unbanded. I mean, it was like Mike Tyson in a box. It was just a big dark cigar with a black ribbon and black wrapping, right? But then retailers, we need a band. We need, we got to put, barcodes and blah blah blah. And I didn't really want to do a band on the cigar, so I was like, okay, I'll do the sleeve, the black sleeve on La Hermandad. So that was how La Hermandad was out for the first 2 years, I guess. But then, as I would see, just like me now, when I took the sleeve off and you put it in the ashtray, there's no band on it. So then I'm thinking, okay, well, aside from being a cigar geek, which I am, I had to think from a marketing standpoint, you lose a chance to show the name. So I changed La Hermandad band, and then of course I had to change Costa Fuerte's band along with that. So that was really just it. I just wanted to do something different and go with a more traditional look on the bands. And I changed the boxes as well. So depending on where you buy your cigars and how long ago they purchased them or where they purchased them from, you may open up a La Hermandad box and they'll have a sleeve on, and it may be in a natural box, or you may have one that's in the new blackout box with the with the black. I don't know if I guess I'm sight, so if you guys see this is actually the new La Hermandad box, and Costa Fuerte's box is sort of similar. It's white with the silver cliche as well. So you'll see the sort of new packaging changes start to sort of get out there, but it was just more updating the look of it and going with something that's more congruent with the traditional cigar packaging.
Okay. Yeah, so it seems like you're re-releasing, like you said, some of the original blends. The change in the red from the Criollo Maduro to
San Andreas.
the San Andreas. Is that a new change?
Yeah, that's new. That once because I had made those cigars in probably almost 2 years. So once I decided to bring them back out, I wanted to bring out the best product I could. I mean, and bear in mind, the Red Label was the very first cigar I ever made, and I know where I'm at now as far as being a cigar maker versus 9 years ago. So I want to bring out the best product I could, and I had some real good success with the San Andreas on the Clase Reserva when I did that at Titan de Bronze. So I had a chance to do something with the Red Label. So I said, hey, let's go with the San Andreas wrapper, and I'm very, very pleased with it.
So all these changes, updating some of the looks, updating the boxes, re-pushing the original blends. That to me says you're getting ready to make a big push in 2015. You alluded to that a little bit earlier. And so we've had a couple of people ask. So what's kind of on the horizon for Premier Mundo in the coming year?
Well, I got a lot. This is
as much as you can share with us. That is.
Yeah. I want to speak out of school. I have a lot going on, man. So for specifically for the Premier Mundo brand, singularly, the big thing that I'm looking forward to is coming out with my 10th anniversary cigar, which that won't be till holiday season. Won't be available for the show because I got so much stuff before that. That'll be coming out sometime around the holiday season. And but prior to that, I mean, I've been fortunate or had the honor of being asked to do or at least to work on Sosa's Cigars 50th anniversary cigar. Oh, wow. So that's a project that I'm working on with RB Sosa. And we're looking to do that at Casa Fernandez in Nicaragua, so that's going to be a lot of fun. Eddie Ortega and I have a joint project that we're working on together. It's going to be really cool. I don't want to get into the details of that too much because it's going to be it's sort of weird what we're doing, but it's going to be a collaboration that's going to result in 2 different cigars. So and that's all I'll say about that.
Okay.
We're going to do that. So that's going on, and again, I mean, doing my 10-year cigar and managing through the packaging changes and stuff that you guys currently see now. So it's just it's a lot, and also figuring out what markets I want to really take a run at as far as geographically speaking. I mean, I have as it stands now 6 brokers, and I got 6 good brokers. But with that, I mean, I'm not going to stretch myself too thin, trying to be in every single corner of the country. So I'm just trying to figure out geographically, like where it makes sense, where I'm going to get the most push. But yeah, I mean, I want to grow the brand and get out there as much as possible. Work through some of these projects with some great friends, and of course, I'm going to continue to make cigars with Abe. Also, looking to do some more stuff with Liga Miami and Clase Reserva, which Clase Reserva was a one-time thing, and since it sold out, almost 2 years ago, rarely a day goes by that somebody doesn't ask me, when are you going to do a Clase Reserva? When are you going to do another Clase Reserva? Or when you're doing more Liga Miami? So I'm working on those things as well in Miami. So it's a lot, and it may be a little bit ambitious, honestly, because again, I'm a one-man show, but I think I may have some sort of nuts and bolts things figured out with Sosa Cigars taking care of my order fulfillment and the back office stuff, and I handle the sales and distribution of my stuff, and work with the people again that I want to work with, which again some really great friends. I'm fortunate enough to have this business. So yeah, man, I'm just I'm almost 10 years in, and I'm going to leave it on the field, man. You know what I'm saying? So when you blow the whistle, I mean, either I'm at the goal line or I'm dead, bro. I'm going. So that's it.
That's it's really cool. Some of the things you said, I was going to ask about a 10-year anniversary cigar, and you beat me to it. So looking forward to that. That's cool to hear. And I like the idea that you're talking about, doing collaboration projects with with Eddie Ortega and some other guys. I think that's really cool, and that's one of the things about this industry that I think is almost unique, where you guys are competitors. You're competing for that same shelf space and the same customers,
Yeah.
but at the same time, it seems like a lot of people like to work together to come up with some cool things.
Listen, we smoke cigars. This is a great time to be a cigar smoker, man. There are some phenomenal cigars on the market.
True story.
Terrific cigars. So that's I'm not gonna say that's the easy part, but it's kind of the easy part. I mean, you can put out a good cigar. I mean, it's all about the people. I mean, it really is. I mean, I'm not just talking about the cigar guys that I'm buddies with. I'm talking about the consumers as well. I mean, I enjoy taking part in consumer events and meeting different people and hearing that Isaac likes to smoke an Epiphany with coffee in the morning. I mean, that's what this is about. This is an experience. This is not. I mean, what's gonna action a guy to spend 8, 10, 15, $20 on something that he's going to burn up in an hour?
Yeah.
It's an experience. So why shouldn't me as a cigar maker enjoy the experience too? And part of that is just doing fun stuff with my buddies and creating different stuff and having fun with it. So that's all a part of it, man. So when I stop enjoying that, I'm done.
You've got an interesting take on the industry, and I know when people sit down and do an interview, they want to come across as kind of not happy-go-lucky. That's not the right term, but you're happy with the position that you're in and you enjoy your job and blah blah blah. But it sounds different coming from you. It's very sincere that you really do enjoy what you're doing, and for the most part, I mean, most people aren't in this business to make a quick buck, because it's just not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. So it's a refreshing attitude.
To lose a quick buck.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I've heard that story too. Got another question here from Jacob. This is an interesting question. He says, do you consider yourself a boutique cigar company?
I'm the boutiquest of boutique cigar companies. Yeah.
So what is that?
Whatever that is, right? So
yeah, what does boutique mean to you?
I don't even know if I can say it's just volume. If it's just like, okay, well, you make below 1 million cigars a year, so you're boutique. I don't know if it's even just volume. I think it's more how do you run your business. So if you think boutique, for anybody out there that's into say fine men's clothing, it's a different experience, going to a custom tailor or some fine men's haberdashery on M Street in Georgetown versus going to a major department store, right? You get more personal service. You get stuff more suited and tailored specifically to your specific needs, and you get your quick responses to things. I mean, if you have an issue with the way a suit fits or something fits, and you go to a fine men's haberdashery or a tailor, it's something they can do instantly. They can take care of it. They can respond to your needs. Versus if you go to a major department store and you return it, you get a store credit. It's more about and I struggle with that. Like, okay, well, I know I'm a boutique. I mean, because from whatever parameter you set, a criteria you set for a boutique, I'm certainly it. I'm below 1 million cigars. I'm certainly nimble in the way I put out products. So, but in my way of thinking, it's more of, is it a Walmart approach, or is it your local specialty grocer approach, or is it a Dillard's or a Belk? I don't know what department stores you have, or is it Rubenstein Brothers in New Orleans? It's those components, and that's sort of the way I look at it. So yeah, I'm a boutique by any criteria that you set. I'm sure I meet it. Yeah.
No, that's interesting the way you put it. Where so boutique to you is more how you deal with your customers, and how you deal with your product, as opposed to volume, and that's
well,
fine.
Think about it. I mean, so what were you in your estimation? What constitutes a cigar brand being a boutique brand?
No, I think all the same things that you said, and I think it's interesting because we've had this is a conversation we've had several times on the show, and we had a guest on recently, newer company, smaller company, and he went out of his way to say that he's not boutique. So I just, it's curious to me that it's such a catchphrase in the industry that almost seems to be going away a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's
you know what? Everybody has to be boutique now, to a degree. I mean, the market is
right.
different.
Yeah.
When I started 9 years ago, man, you put a cigar out, and that cigar was what you sold for a couple of years. Now, every time you go into the shop, what do you have coming new? What's new? What's new? People, what's new? What's new? Then you find yourself on this hamster wheel trying to crank out something new at every turn, And I got on a hamster wheel and I started stepping on my tail. I had 7 cigars out at one time, for brick and mortar, which for me that's insane. I just, from a resource standpoint, it's hard to juggle that. So you figure out, okay, well, you want to have new stuff and interesting stuff. So how do you do it? That's when you move to, okay, well, Clase Reserva. I'm making 1,000 boxes, 10 cigars in a box. Have at it. When it's gone, it's gone. That went well. A couple years later now, I could do that again. So I'll do little things like that, but you got to have some core production to keep the lights on so that you can play with the icing on the cake, so to speak. So, and even the bigger companies. I mean, why is General Cigar, bringing in talent like Sam Lucia and they had Rick Rodriguez for a while, and Giannini, all these guys. They're trying to put faces to brands to connect with consumers and do stuff different. It's just hard for them to be. They're a behemoth, so it's hard to be nimble. I can be nimble. I can make a few hundred boxes and walk away from it and do something else. They can't do that. So I think, and I guess the best representation of that is Pete. I mean, Pete has high volume as far as the number of cigars that he does a year, but he still puts out the cool little projects that everybody looks forward to, the special stuff and whatnot. So I really think it is the way, you sort of operate your company and respond to the customer being the retailer and the consumer. I think that's what makes a boutique a boutique.
I like that answer. I like that a lot. Or just another part of Jacob's question. You touched on it a little bit. So what's your take on all the different limited releases? I mean, like you said, you've done a few in the past, and you've got your anniversary blend coming up, which I imagine will be limited. Do you feel like that's I'm expounding on this question a little bit. Do you feel like that's a positive thing? Is that a negative thing for the industry? Because it seems like everything's limited, whether it's limited or not.
It's sort of warm and fuzzy, cold and prickly. You know what I mean? It's a good thing in a sense, but man, it's like it's tough. It's tough to always have to come. I mean, people got to understand. I mean, when you come out with a new cigar, it's not just you roll up some leaves together and put them in a box and send them out. No, you have the intellectual property piece. You have to trademark the cigar. You got to design packaging for it and pay for packaging. And believe me, it's a lot less expensive to buy 100,000 cigar bands than it is to buy 10,000 cigar bands.
Sure.
So, and boxes, it's all quantity driven. It's a lot, less expensive to buy 1,000 boxes as far as actual physical wooden boxes than it is to buy 100. So when you do something limited like that, I mean, you still got the normal cost associated. I mean, to a greater degree, more costs associated with that than you do for normal production things. So it's tough to do that all the time. I understand from the consumer standpoint why they like that.
Mm-hmm.
We all like different stuff. We all want to try different stuff. I get that, but what I try to do is make enough cigars so that I have something that fits in your normal wheelhouse. I don't market to the casual smoker. I don't, but hey, I hope that I have something in my line that, if you're a guy who's going to smoke a cigar once a year at your friend's wedding, I have something that's not going to, knock your head off as far as strength and you can enjoy. But also, if you're an avid smoker that smokes 3 to 5 a day like I do, I have something that you can smoke 3 or 4 times a week. So you just try to have that, but then offer, hey, this is going to be something special. That was a lot harder to do for me early on. Well, it wasn't really necessarily early on, but a few years ago when I really started doing more of the smaller, really, really smaller production stuff, it was harder to do. But I'm hoping that I have a better gauge on how to manage that now and how to release it and and how to just manage through it. So yeah, the short answer is very, very tough to do that consistently. But I understand why consumers like it, and yeah, we want to do that. We want them to enjoy the experience and hopefully be wowed when you put something out new. So you do it,
So almost sounds like it's I don't know if necessary evil is too is too strong of a term, but it almost sounds like that's what your answer is.
Yeah, necessary or not, it is what it is. It's not going to change. It's not going to change unless you want that Macanudo smoker who buys a box a month, or you want the Monte Cristo aroma, your guy who walks into a shop and gets his box, and the retailer doesn't see him for another month. For the active consumer that I typically engage with, I mean, they look for new stuff. So so you want stuff that has varying profiles, hopefully price points that work. That fits into the rotation. Then and again, hit them with something special, from time to time, as frequently as it makes sense. And making sense is different for different people.
Yeah. So. No, fair enough. Okay, so we've got a few minutes left, so I want to do some rapid fire questions here. This one's from Reed. He's curious if you have any smaller ring gauge cigars on the horizon.
I do. So,
the most rapid of rapid fire. Yes.
Yes, I do. For the record, I absolutely love Lanceros. I even made Coronitas that I distributed in the Russian market a couple of years ago, and I love the cigars. But when you look at what sells the most, how many cigars can I make from a line standpoint, and where do I get the biggest bang for my buck? I've been a punk as it relates to that, as far as taking risk to put something out that's a real, sort of special, unique size. But yes, I love Lanceros, I love Coronas, I love Lonsdales. So yes.
Okay. I'm going to read between the lines, and you don't have to comment on this, but it sounds to me like that 10th anniversary cigar might be in a smaller ring gauge. That's just what I'm taking from that. Whether no need to comment.
It could be the 10th anniversary cigar. It could be the project I'm doing with Eddie Ortega. It could be. I could break something out in between that time. You never know.
Who knows? So okay. So there you go, Reed. Those are definitely on the way. And I got another one here. This one's from Jared Grillet. He would flip out if I didn't ask his question. He's a regular on Cigar Federation, so I always give him a hard time. Says, I noticed that your blends are fairly multinational, Nicaragua, Dominican, Brazil, Ecuador. Says, now that you've been working with PDR for a while, have you given any thoughts to taking Abe's lead and blending something that's 100% Dominican?
Yeah, I've thought about that. I've thought about that, to answer your question. Not something that I've actually put hands to and started working on yet, but yeah, I've thought about, even if not Dominican, then a Nicaraguan puro or maybe a Dominican puro. Yeah, I've thought about that, and that's something I'd like to do at some point. But yeah, I really enjoyed working with, tobaccos from different countries and putting them together. So, but I've certainly thought about that, and hopefully we'll look to do that in the future.
Okay. So what this is going to be our last question of the night, and this is one of my favorite questions that was asked here, and this one is from Alexander Martinez. He says, Sean, you entered an industry with tons of competition and some really phenomenal cigars. I mean, there's a ton of stuff. You'd said it's a great time to be a cigar smoker. There's some great stuff out there, but you've been in the business for almost 10 years. So what made you believe that you could break into such an overcrowded industry? And what do you believe you have to offer that would set you apart from everybody else? That's like a job interview question.
Well, going back 9 years, January 2006, when I first, foolishly hopped on a plane to go to Nicaragua to work on cigars. What made me believe that I could break into the industry is pretty simple: ignorance. Listen, man, I didn't know any better. I had no idea. It's just it was something I wanted to do. I mean, I had done a bunch of cigar events for a while around the city. Started the Atlanta Cigar Society, and that just just fed my spirit. I just wanted to do a cigar, really thinking it was going to be something more locally. I had no idea, man. And then once you start down the path, it's just like it's almost no turning back. So once I got into it, it's just I saw the joke that I was too stupid to quit. So. I stuck around long enough, and as far as what sets me apart now, I mean, we kind of talked about it, man. There's really good cigars on the market, and I smoke a lot of them. Obviously not just my stuff. what I like to think I bring to the market. I mean, there's three things that I sort of set as my values or my tenets as far as how I would approach this business. Quality craftsmanship, fine tobacco, exceptional value, and that's the three things. I mean, that's so I'd like to think that I put out good cigars, well made, good construction. Everything I make, whether it's at Titan de Bronze or whether it's with PDR, it's all rolled into bottle. Again, I work with people that have solid raw material, so that my cigars can stay consistent. There's no bait and switch on the blends. I mean, if you smoke a cigar today from El Primer Mundo, if you light that cigar up a year from now, or buy it a year from now, it should be the same cigar. Sans problems with humidification or things of that nature. But so quality craftsmanship. We kind of talked about the tobacco. I use good stuff. I use good stuff because I work with good people who buy from good suppliers, right? And I try to keep my stuff reasonably priced. So if you want a cigar that you can figure it's going to be a solid stick, it's going to be consistent, it's going to stand up, it's going to perform, and you can afford it. And I'm not saying God bless you if you can put out a $5 cigar. I can't do that. I don't have that. I'm not vertically integrated. I don't own tobacco fields or whatever. It's just tough to do. But for the core smoker, who's typically spending $8 or $9 or $10 on a cigar, and in some cases the red, blue, and black labels $6 or $7. I have something for you, and it's going to be consistent, and it's going to be good, and in some cases it's going to be exceptional. I mean, one of the biggest honors in my life is being at the Cigar Journal Award Trophy event a couple years ago, up for Best Brand USA for Epiphania. I had no business being there, but my cigar was ranked as one of the best in the year. I lost out to Pete's Black Label. I can live with that. So that's it. I mean, what's going to set me apart? I don't know if I necessarily need to be set apart. I just need to be set in. If a guy's an avid smoker and he's smoking a bunch of cigars a week or a bunch a day in some cases, then I'm certainly confident that I have something in my portfolio that would fit into his rotation of cigars. That's it.
That was one of my favorite questions because I knew I was going to get a good answer from you. Sean, that wraps up. Excuse me. That wraps up our AFRN segment. So thank you so much for hanging out. Real quick, let everybody know where they can find you. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff.
Yeah, I'm a social media geek. So on Facebook, on Twitter and Instagram, it's at Primer Mundo, and it's spelled like Primer, PRIMERMUNDO, at Primer Mundo on Instagram and on Twitter, and on Facebook, just Primer Mundo Cigars has a page, and of course I have a page, Sean Williams, SEAN. I'm there. I'm on Pinterest, but I have no idea what to do with Pinterest, so don't follow me there. I'm not on Vine. I'm not on Snapchat or whatever. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. That's about where you get me. So check it out, and of course the website is elprimermundo.com. So that's it.
Yeah, you guys check out the website.
And the links to those social medias are on my website, of course.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the website's pretty slick looking, so you guys should check it out. Guys, thanks so much for tuning in to another Cigar Chat. Really do appreciate the support. We're going to be back next week. Logan is usually queued up with who our next guest is, and he's not here. So next week we have Terrence Riley from Casada Cigars. So that'll be a fun show to talk about some of the new things coming from Casada. Again, you can find us CigarFederation.com. This is Cigar Chat brought to you live on Armed Forces Radio Network. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Really do appreciate it. Everybody. Yeah, have a good weekend. Everybody stay safe. Okay, that wraps up our Armed Forces Radio segment. There was, so we're still live, but this is live for, everybody who's watching live can still see us. If they're watching on YouTube, they can still see us, and the podcast can still listen. Thank you for your candid answers. I really do appreciate that. A lot of the times I feel like we get, maybe not a lot of the time, that's not fair to say. I feel like we get some canned answers sometimes. I don't feel like we got that from you, so I really do appreciate that. We had a ton of questions here that we didn't really even scratch the surface on. A lot of them are covering the same things. I'll ask some of these that are a little bit more specific while we got some time.
I got nowhere to go, bro. It's a Thursday night.
Yeah, we got a little bit of time, so I'll ask some of these a little bit more specific. This one's from Ken. He wants to know when you're going to get back into Chicago B&Ms. He said he used to be able to find you there, but now doesn't see you
Yeah,
anymore.
so my initial foray into Chicago was when I was distributed through Los Blancos, and of course at the time they were based in Chicago. So I got some pretty decent placement up there. Um, I'm on the shelves at a couple of shops, but not much. But I just hired a really dynamic broker based in the Midwest who does a lot of good business in Chicago. So I certainly expect that the front side of this year I'll get more action in Chicago, and hopefully I'll be up there soon. I certainly want to be up there before April or May because it's cold as hell. But yeah, you should start seeing my product up there here relatively soon. So appreciate you asking, and please look out for it.
Cool. That's yeah. So that one was from Ken, and actually another follow up from Ken. And we touched on this a little bit, but maybe we'll ask it one more time. It's a little more specific. He hasn't tried any of your blends yet. He's interested to try. He doesn't really mind strength, medium, mild, full doesn't bother him. He wants something that's got a ton of flavor. So what's your cigar that has the most flavor?
So did you just ask me like which one of my daughters I think is the prettiest?
Yeah,
That's what
basically, yeah.
yeah.
That's kind of it. Yeah.
It depends. I mean, I'm joking, but it really depends. Again, I try to do.
We freeze up. Oh, well, you know what? We may have lost Sean there. I think he just froze up. So while I've got a couple of minutes, I'll just talk directly to the guests. We do have 3 boxes of cigars we're giving away. We've got one 5-pack that's up for drawing that's on CigarFederation.com right now that you can get into. And okay, so I think you guys can still hear me though, right? Okay, good. Yeah, y'all can still hear me. So I said that I was going to pick all the winners from the pool of questions, and we've got 5-packs that we're giving away tonight. And my favorite question is going to earn 1 full box for that person. So as long as you guys can still hear me, right? Still hear me? Somebody in the chat room tell me you can still hear me, and I'll go ahead and list who these winners are. He left the room wanting more. He did. This is a good interview. Sean's fun to talk to, so it's easier for me to banter when I've got somebody to banter with. Okay, good. You guys can still hear me. So I'll just talk directly to you guys with the giveaways, the 5-pack giveaways, and you guys are gonna have to email me directly. The winners, email me directly, rob@cigarfederation.com. So when you email me, put Premier Mundo winner, and then in the email put your mailing address, full mailing address, name and address, so I can make sure that this stuff gets out to you. 5-pack winners are, in no particular order, D.A. Gale asked a good question. Isaac Miller, you asked some good questions. We always, you're a winner. Jacob Krell asked some good questions. He's a winner. Reed, I know you read more books on Cigar Federation. I don't remember what your last name was. So Reed, you're a winner. And Bob Dog, you asked a ton of questions that we kind of got to, but I didn't really get to ask any of your questions directly. So you asked like 25 questions, and they were all valid. It wasn't just like you were trying to ask a ton of questions for no reason. So you're going to be a winner as well. The grand prize winner, who asked my favorite question, which was the last question that we asked of the night, that's Alexander. And oh man, Alexander, I didn't write down your last name. But you asked the question about, what makes your company different, the last one that we asked. So you're going to win that box. So you guys need to email me direct. For those of you listening on the podcast, we're going to pick 2 podcast winners. So once this goes up on the podcast, which will probably be in a few days, email me directly, rob@cigarfederation.com. Put Premier Mundo podcast in the subject line, and just give me your name and address, and I'll pick 2 random winners, and that will take care of the 3 boxes that we had to give away. I think Sean just completely dropped out. I wonder if he's going to be able to get back in. Well, we'll see. So I'll just kind of chat here a little bit to you guys, because I know you all can hear me. I can see you in the chat room. So everybody is going to win the Hermandad Costa Fuerte, and that's actually what I was smoking tonight. And I'll be honest, man, when he said you can have kind of a preconceived notion of what the cigar is going to be like based on the way that it looks, and with the large foot bands that Sean was using, for whatever reason, that made me feel like the cigars were going to be really, really strong. And this Costa Fuerte is not a super strong cigar. It's got a lot of spice to it on the retrohale, but the profile, the flavor profile, is pretty good. I'm really enjoying it. I'll do a review. I've got a few more here that I can smoke. I'll do a review coming up in the next week or so, so you guys can see that. But definitely something I want to check out, and I want to check out the Epiphany, although that wasn't the word for it. It was the other one that blended it. I actually want to check out both of the ones that are blended at El Titan de Bronze. I haven't been able to smoke the Miami Liga or Liga Miami or the Epiphania, or I think that's what it was called. So those are two that I'm interested in checking out. So yeah, I guess I'm just going to go ahead and end it because I don't think Sean's going to be able to get back in because he probably lost his internet connection there. So appreciate you guys checking us out. You can find Sean, PremierMundoCigars.com. Again, wow, I have a lot of respect for guys who go on the radio and do shows solo, because this is it's kind of unnerving to sit here and just talk. I'm looking at the screen. I'm just talking to myself. So I really do have a newfound respect for guys who do solo shows. But yeah, Sean's calling me right now. So guys, really do appreciate it. We'll catch you next week. We've got Terrence from Casada, so that'll be a good show. Everybody have a good weekend. Take care. Appreciate the support, and we'll see you guys around CigarFederation.com. Everybody take care.